Hello and welcome to what I would call my paradise on earth. Lainio River, Camp Onka, and the opposite side of the cliff. In this video I'll go through how this stretch looks like. This side gets less attention than the more spectacular fishing on the cliffside. In my opinion, this is the most interesting side, because it works in so many water levels. Let's head over there. So you row over, and right here you have this. I'll just show you here. It's a little bit more basic on this side. We have a small fireplace right there to make a little fire, and here we have a wind shelter. You can sit under the rain, and behind here we have the cutest toilet. Small door, need to bend in, but yeah. it is nice. What else can I say? Yeah, enough talking about toilets. So that's how it looks like here. The stretch is as of speaking at season 2022. It is you cannot expect that this standard is on every spot that we fish. We have goals to step up our level of service out at the river, but it's a 10-kilometer beat, and as of now we haven't made wind shelters and toilets everywhere. So if that's something that is on your necessities, like you expect that to be, it's not gonna be the case for season 2022, at least as of right now, and probably not season 2023 either at all places, but it's our ambition to get there. So I'll keep you informed on the coming videos on the channel, how we develop and grow with this place that I'm very passionate about. Over the season we see so many fish being caught here very close to shore. So I would say it's very important to, especially when it has not been fished that day, to begin to go through it with very short casts. They can be so close to the shoreline. And of course, like, you might ask me, like, okay, why do you have to cast short? If you make a long cast, it will swing out into the shoreline as well. Yes, it will, but it will have a very boring swing with barely any movement in it. If you make a shorter cast, it will come in with much more speed and a nice drift towards the fish if they are in there. So I'd rather fish it twice, and what I mean with talking about fishing it once and twice is that we cover water while we fish. So we walk into the water, take a cast, move, take a cast, move. So we're always on covering and casting new waters, and I'd rather do that many times during a day instead of just standing still. That's the method we use here, and I would say it's standard in all rivers in Sweden that you take a cast and move. Here we have a private beat, of course. If you're alone you can do whatever you want. But yeah, that's a preferred way to fish. And if you're insecure about wading, make sure to bring a wading staff so you can get some support while you walk to prepare for your new cast. So when we take guests here, especially the first time, we like to go here from the high perspective, be able to show the stones where the biting spots are. So you can see that stone is about 10 meters out from the shoreline. Important to fish well around that so you don't cast out into the middle of the current. The interesting part here is mostly near the bank, especially in the upper part, which we are at now. It is guiding every day when you get here, so the guide will advise you on how to fish as well, but I think this video is nice to share a little bit of an insight beforehand, so it's not a big surprise what the guide will tell you on the spot. So let's begin. We're currently fishing on the most difficult side of the river, what we call the side of felsläng, where you're supposed to cast on this side of you, but like because the water goes here It's preferred to be having the left hand casting, but you don't have to. You can cast on this side as well. It works just fine, but I will choose to have it on fish like a right side now, mostly due to there is a downstream wind, so that feels more safe to do that for me right now, to have the line on the safe side of me, so to say. But good advantage to be able to fish both. What is most important with a fishing day is that we come home safe. That's more important than any salmon you can catch. These big hooks and heavy lines can really injure you if you fish in dangerous winds without the right method. Ooh. There was a grayling. I think so at least, but I was on my way to step down and fish further down. But what I do can be a discussion here in the comments if you think this is right or wrong. But I like to, if potentially you had a salmon bite there, to take the fly up, check if it's sharp, see so the leader is looking good, and then go for it again. The idea then is that you get a presentation at the same spot again where the salmon was. Now I think it was a grayling this time, but a salmon then would have time to go back to its original position, and it probably when it was nibbling at your fly, it moved from its holding spot to go and touch on it. And if you put the fly right away there, it might be that it's not back yet and settle down at the place it was. But this time it really felt like a grayling. Salmon can take very gentle, but this was like, so I think it was a grayling. Early season, I would say, is the time when you catch most other kinds of fish. Now it is more or less salmon, grayling or trout that we catch. But early season there is a lot of fish on the move in that time. So for example, Ide can happen very rarely, maybe a couple every year. Perch, very rare as well, happens a couple of times per year. And pike as well happens a couple of times per year. But there is a lot of fish in this river. During a guiding here, it is normal that there is 4 persons with each guide. So if you're the first one fishing through the pool, it is most likely other persons going after you. So I think it's nice for the people that comes after you, that if the first person fish quite near the surface, so you're not down digging in the bottom right away. I described that in the video part 1 from fishing here in Onka home pool, but from the perspective of that I was on my own. But if you're more people, talk with each other and begin with quite a light line, I would say. I'm fishing a floating belly with a clear intermediate tip, so it just goes down a little bit, because now I have passed one of the really hot spots here next to this stone here, and I'm about to fish into this backwater. I most likely fish over salmon without catching them now, and if I would go down and dig with a really heavy line, the first thing I do, I kind of ruin the place for the persons behind me. And salmon can be very willing to go up to the surface. Depends on the water level, of course, but that's something we will talk through on each spot, that what is appropriate to start with, what kind of line. With that we mean for the first person to walk, what should they start with? So here I begin quite light, and I don't think I will go with any heavier line here. I feel quite happy with this. Earlier this morning I caught a fish in Patakoski with exactly this setup, so I feel very confident with it at the moment. If you're new to salmon fishing, it can be very tough to fish the whole thing through at once, so make sure to take some breaks. I will fish constantly through the whole stretch now, and that's about 1 hour of casting non-stop. So it takes a bit of time. So you have two options: either you fish the whole thing through, or you take some pauses in between. But if you skip the pauses, remember to check so the flies are okay every now and then, like I did there. Just take in, see so it's not tangled or anything. The hooks are sharp. Anytime I'm in a stone, I check the hooks. I made it down to the lower part now, and here in this low water level it is quite a reach to get out to the main current. I'm standing waist deep water and do quite long casts and get a bit of a decent swing there. When it comes into the calm water, I slowly retrieve the fly here. We've caught fish doing the retrieve here this season, so can be coming after. But in high water level it looks very much different here. Then it is a good current much longer. So early season or high water level, it is a very long stretch to fish. So there you have it, a short introduction to how to fish the opposite side in Camp Onka, and wraps up the two-part series on tips and tricks for fishing this pool. It varies a lot depending on water level, but I'm sure you're in good hands when you come here on a guided trip. Hope this little introduction was useful to get some perspective of how to fish here. Fantastic area. I'm glad I could share my insight on how this area is fished. The 15 kilo salmon that I landed here in June this year, I have it on video. You can check it out here if you would like to see that. Thank you for watching, and see you over there.